Hello, everyone. How are you all doing? I hope things are good with you and you are trying to cope up with this situation in the most magnificent way possible. My name is Atika Faruqi and I'm your host today. And I welcome you to this ninth episode or the ninth part of the 10-part series or workshops called Break the Silence in COVID 19. Well, I'm a poet, I'm a film writer, I host and produce a popular celebrity chat show in India. And during my stint as a television journalist for good 13 years, I looked at the social issues of my country very closely. And I realized that a red flag had to be raised. One had to speak up. We had to break the silence. A very popular poet in India called Rahat Indori, he's no more with us. He's left for his humble abode in the heavens. He said in Urdu, "Na hum safar, na kisi हमनशी से निकलेगा, ना हम सफर ना किसी हमनशी से निकलेगा, हमारे पाँव का काटा हम ही से निकलेगा." It is we who can help ourselves. And if not us, then who? If not now, then when? If not here, then where? एक पोएम है मेरी, एक नज्म है. इट इज कॉल्ड औरत. मैं शुरुआत में आपको वो सुनाना चाहूंगी so that you can understand what exactly are we going to talk about and why. It's about the journey of man and woman from the times of Adam and Eve till date. उस खुदा ने जहां बनाया, अरमानों से उसे सजाया, फिर नीचे इंसान को लाया, देख उन्हें फिर वो मुस्काया. आदम हवा थे कहलाते, मर्द और औरत जाने जाते, खुले आसमां में थे गाते, हमें खुदा ने एक बनाया. दिन बीते और गया वो कहना, हम तुम एक दूजे का गहना. औरत को दहलीज में रहना, घर का मालिक मर्द कहलाया. सदियां बीती वही नजारा, कोने में औरत का गुजारा. कायम है पर आदम का नारा, खुदा जमी का हमें बनाया. ख्वाहिशे आंसू में बहती, फिर भी औरत कुछ ना कहती, जंजीरों में कैद थी रहती, उन्हें पर अपना सरताज बताया. औरत बोली, मुझे रोको मत, आगे बढ़ना है, टोको मत, जहन्नुम में मुझे झोंको मत, सदियों तुमने मुझे रुलाया. मर्द बोला, इतराती क्यों हो, हमसे कदम मिलाती क्यों हो, जर्रा हो ये भूल जाती क्यों हो, और फिर अपना जोर जताया. कब तक ये जंग जारी रहेगी, कब तक औरत बेचारी रहेगी, आदम से कब तक हारी रहेगी, औरत ने है ये सवाल उठाया. तो आज तो सवाल उठाना पड़ेगा. Given the number of cases of domestic violence that are on the rise, on the increase with each passing day, and not just in one country, not just in the developing world, not just in the third world, but everywhere, we have to take it seriously. आप जानते हैं कि इस दौरान कई औरतों ने अपनी जान तक गंवाई है because of domestic violence, because of domestic abuse. We understand that things are difficult, लेकिन इतनी मुश्किल भी नहीं कि किसी को अपनी जान से हाथ धोना पड़े, right? So here we thank Artists and Artisans Development and Network because they are doing a great job. And today we are going to be talking to some really eminent personalities. We are going to be talking to two members of parliament. We are going to be talking to a lawyer who's actually fought the cases of domestic violence in India. And we are going to have Minister for Women and Children's Development. Uh, this series is presented to you by the Artists and Artisans Development and Network, which is funded by the Red Cross Canada. It has been running through weekend in October and November. We have been hearing, sharing, and discussing about the prevention of elderly abuse and violence against women from the leaders, academic experts, victims, survivors, and counselors in this field. AADN, which is Artists and Artisans Development Network, let me tell you a little bit about its history. It was founded in 2014 to provide resources and community development for artists and artisans who are immigrants to Canada. They started by helping artists participate in community events and festivals to promote and showcase their work, and have since grown the community and program offerings. They now work with over 500 artists in various languages, helping them access cultural and economic opportunities. How brilliant that is! 500 is a huge number. The mission of Artists and Artisans Development Networks is to provide support and opportunities for economic and social development to artists and artisans for all artistic practices who are newcomers to Canada or from other visible minority groups. The vision is to create a platform that brings awareness to underrepresented members of the community. Together, they will promote intercultural understanding, collaboration, and community building. Community is at the heart of this Break the Silence in COVID-19 series. The purpose is to build community through conversation and the arts, and they will do that by bringing together a team of diverse collaborators, volunteers, community partners, sponsors, and artists for cultural exchange and celebration. To begin the show, we have a message from the Honorable Mariam Munsef, Minister for Women and Gender Equality and Rural Economic Development. She couldn't be with us, but she has left her thoughts with us. And to read out those thoughts, we have a young medical professional by the name of Mr. Arman Ali. Arman Ali is a recent graduate from the University of Toronto Scarborough Neuroscience Specialist Program. He's an aspiring medical professional with goals to practice in Canada and is currently working hard to make his dreams become a reality. He has served in many organizations as a volunteer and is also supporting artists and artisans development and network. But please allow me to say a few words in the honor of our Honorable Minister, Mariam Monsef. Minister Monsef was first elected in 2015 as a Member of Parliament for Peterborough, Kawartha. She is a dedicated community organizer, a former Peterborough mayoral candidate as well, and a co-recipient of the YMCA's Peace Medallion. A passionate volunteer, Minister Monsef has sat on the boards and committees of several high-profile organizations. She was the vice president of the YWCA of Peterborough and Haliburton Board of Directors, and a former director of the Ontario Public Interest Research Group, as well as the New Canadian Centre, a non-profit organization dedicated to supporting immigrants, refugees, and other newcomers in the Peterborough and Northumberland regions. Minister Monsef was also the co-founder of the Red Pashmina campaign. Yes, a grassroots initiative she started while at Trent University, which has successfully raised over $150,000. That's a huge amount to help and support the women in Afghanistan. Mr. Monsef has a Bachelor of Science in Psychology from Trent University and speaks English, Farsi, and Dari. And to speak what she has to say, we have Arman Ali. Arman, go on.
Thank you for the introduction, Atika. My name is Arman Ali, and I'll be reading the Honorable Mariam Monsef's address. As Minister for Women and Gender Equality and Rural Economic Development, I want to extend my best wishes to the Artists and Artisans Development Network on your virtual event, Break the Silence in COVID-19. This important event will engage participants in a series of 10 workshops that speak to the issues of gender-based violence prevention, as well as provide advice on how all of us can look after our mental wellness during this difficult time. The Artists and Artisan Development Network has been a champion for women, racialized people, and newcomers to Canada for the past 6 years, and I want to recognize that today's event was made possible by months of hard work by many folk working tirelessly behind the scenes. This year has been challenging for everyone, as COVID-19 has impacted all of us. For those facing violence, the impacts of this pandemic have been severe. We've been told to stay home to curb the spread of COVID-19, but unfortunately, home is not a safe place for everyone. For women who experience domestic or intimate partner violence, being confined at home isolated, and in close contact with a violent partner can be a terrifying prospect. During the pandemic, there have been widespread reports that the rates and severity of gender based violence are increasing, particularly intimate partner violence, and we have started to see what many experts have referred to as a shadow pandemic directed towards women and girls. The pandemic also created unprecedented challenges for survivors of violence and the organizations that serve them. That is why our government has moved swiftly to provide funding to frontline organizations to ensure they could continue their critically important work. We are providing over $100 million to help them keep their staff and clients safe, assist them with making their services available online, and keep their doors open to those in need. We also continue to work with our provincial and territorial counterparts to develop a national action plan to end gender-based violence in Canada. It will ensure that anyone facing gender-based violence has reliable and timely access to protection and services. The National Action Plan will build on the investments we have made since 2015 to address and prevent gender-based violence. Across government departments and agencies, we have invested in programs and initiatives to address women's safety and security, create a more responsive justice system, and support frontline organizations. Every step of the way, we will continue to work with many partners, including organizations like the Artists and Artisans Development Network, to end gender-based violence and keep Canadians safe. We will also seek advice from and rely upon the expertise of experts and those with lived experience to make sure that we get it right. Together, we can build a Canada free of gender-based violence and a Canada where everyone feels safe. To all of the organizers and participants attending today's event, thank you all for all you do to make our country a better place. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And I read up a little about Minister Maria Monsef, and I must say, with a woman who was born in Iran, her roots in Afghanistan, she herself was an immigrant in Canada. There were three sisters brought into Canada by her mother, and the way she has risen up and her story, in fact, a success story, it is extremely inspiring and should be read by every woman. And thank you so much, Minister Monsef, for this beautiful message. And thank you, Arman, for reading it out for our viewers. Thank you so much.
Thank you. It was an honor. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you. Now I'm being joined by Honorable Member of Parliament Ruby Sahuta, another very bright young woman who has her roots in India. She throws more light on this situation. Allow me to tell you more about this person, this very eminent person in the politics of Canada. She was born in Toronto and raised in Brampton. Ruby Sahuta is an active member of her local community in Brampton North. Before entering politics, Ruby worked as a lawyer, practicing for 5 years in the areas of criminal law, civil litigation, and dispute resolution in both the public and private sectors, handling a wide range of complex files at national and international levels. Ruby holds a combined Honours Bachelor of Arts in Political Science and Peace Studies from McMaster University and a JD with a concentration in litigation from Thomas M. Cooley Law School, where she was awarded the Blue Book Award in Immigration Law for achieving the highest GPA in her graduating class. Wonderful. Ruby is a dedicated mother of a 7-year-old baby. As a member of parliament, Ruby is the vice chair of the Genocide Prevention Group, co-chairs the All-Party Entrepreneurs Caucus, and is involved with the Canada-India Friendship Group as well. Ruby is the chair of the Standing Committee on Procedure and House Affairs and is a member of the Standing Committee on Foreign Affairs and International Development. Ruby also served as the chair of the Federal Liberal Ontario Caucus and was previously a member of the Standing Committee on the Status of Women and the Special Committee for Electoral Reform. Outside of Ottawa, Ruby believes in being an accessible MP for her constituents, providing mentorship to young people and highlighting the diversity of Brampton North. Welcome on board. Thank you so much for joining us and giving us your time.
Hello. Hello to everyone. Namaste as well.
Hi.
It's very much an honor to be a part of your program. The series that you're doing is quite remarkable, and I want to give Artists and Artisans Network and Development a lot of credit for talking about an issue that is very near and dear to my heart, and one that deserves a conversation and deserves work to be done. And as Minister Monsef has stated, it is something that is high in the list of priorities for our government.
Mm,
Indeed, I'll talk a little bit about the work that I have been doing on the Foreign Affairs Committee currently. We are undertaking or have undertaken a study in which we're hearing from development agencies and organizations all across the world about the vulnerabilities that COVID 19 has caused on women and children. And through that, we are learning. The numbers are quite dire, just like you have mentioned, that women are. The rates of female genital mutilation, the rates of female feticide, the rates of domestic violence, the rates of you name it, hunger amongst women is more prevalent than amongst men. All of those indicators have gone up during this time. And in
mm,
fact, hunger has doubled across the world. And women are known and it has been documented that they are the last to be in line for the food. You know, they serve their families first. Men get to eat before they do, and so women and children are really in a very difficult spot. And then, of course, here at home as well. You know, I appreciate that you recognize that there is work to do around the world, and Canada needs to play a big role and a big part in it. I think making sure that we're investing in international development is really important to make sure that we do our part, but also it creates for a more stable and more vibrant Canada as well. And currently, what we're seeing, even in the region of Peel, I'm a member of the riding of Brampton North, and we are hearing elevated concerns from our regional police chief. We know that we have great organizations on the ground. However, I have had conversations with Minister Monsef recently, and just like your organization has received funding, we need to make sure that we work harder to recognize organizations like yours and continue to work together so that the government can make the right investments and support the right groups. And I'm a big advocate for local community members, people of the community serving the community. I think that is very important. And oftentimes there is a lens that is missing when you get up to the federal level in Ottawa, and not everyone can recognize what may be happening in your neighborhoods. And so that partnership to the local people on the ground is extremely important. And a part of my work from the bio that you read too is to make sure that I'm interacting with these community groups. I'm hearing the stories on the ground, that I'm accessible to people, that I am not somebody that is hard to get a hold of. And that is extremely important, I think, as a member of parliament to recognize what the needs of your community are. And I have recognized that some of these programs and grants and opportunities are very difficult for some smaller grassroots organizations. And so, me, along with Mariam Monsef and other colleagues, are trying to figure out ways where we can build up capacity for local groups and allow them to increase the amount of research that is being done. Just recently, we did talk to another strong organization that supports. Has a focus on advocating and empowering South Asian women, and a study that they have undertaken, and it was revealed that South Asian women are more likely than other immigrant women to have, or other racialized women to have a higher a level of education, to have university and college degrees in high numbers, yet there employment rates are extremely low. Their unemployment rate is at 20.4%, we were told through this study, and that's extremely high. And so I think that's also a key. Education is what we hear from people, but not only education, making sure that that education then can. Can result in a good livelihood, a fair wage for women, and that is still an issue in our country today. And that is something I'm committed to working on and fighting for equal wage, narrowing that or eliminating that gender gap, and so that women are not stuck in situations where they have nowhere to go when they find themselves being a victim of domestic violence and many other issues that do occur. I think um, can be can be supported through groups like yours, and also recognizing where the barriers lie so that we can help work together to eliminate those. So thank you so much for the work that you're doing. Thank you for giving me a few minutes to speak, and I'm looking forward to seeing the rest of your program and understanding and learning more from your experiences.
Thank you so much, MP Ruby Sahuta. You are one of those kinds who have been consistently doing such a lovely work. And I'm proud to say that I'm from India too. I mean, we all know that your roots lie in India, and you have done us all proud, and you've been doing very, very good work. I've been reading up a lot about you and the work that you're doing, and keep up the good work, and I salute to
Uh,
you.
Absolutely. And I have to say that although I was born in Canada, my parents are proud Indians, and I've had the opportunity to go back to India several times, and there's no place like it. I really enjoy. Um, I enjoy getting connected with my roots and the community here. We have many Indo Canadians, and so we've definitely held on to our culture and tradition as much as possible here. And so, thank you. Also, the artists and artisans really can be a voice for the people who find themselves not to have a voice at times. So, thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining us and giving us your valuable time. I again would like to mention a few people, a few organizations that have kind of made this possible. And special thanks to Canadian Red Cross, Government of Canada, Honorable Member of Parliament Salma Zahid, Member of Provincial Parliament Christina Mitis. Now let me introduce our panel members, because this is not just a panel where we're going to be talking about the problems. We are also coming up with some solutions, and kind of brainstorm on what, when, how, where of this entire situation of domestic violence that has arisen, and the numbers have increased in the pandemic. So to discuss that, we have Honorable Member of Parliament Salma Zahid, and a very accomplished lawyer, advocate, Mrs. Shaheen Khan Naqshbandi. Allow me to say a few lines about Honorable Member of Parliament Salma Zahid first. Elected as the Member of Parliament for Scarborough Centre in 2015 and re-elected in 2019, Salma Zahid is a committed champion for gender equality and a strong voice for the diverse families of Scarborough. Salma is chair of the Standing Committee on Citizenship and Immigration and a member of the Standing Committee on the Status of Women. In her work on committee, she has worked to ensure that the voices of radicalized Canadians and visible minority women are heard, and has advocated for improved customer service within the immigration system and for increased family reunification. As an MP, Salma has worked to raise awareness of the oppression of the Rohingya Muslim minority in Myanmar and other oppressed persons around the world, and pressed the government to take a leadership role in providing humanitarian assistance. Her private member's motion M155, designating June as Filipino Heritage Month across Canada, was unanimously passed by the House of Commons. What a wonderful feat. In Scarborough, Salma has worked to bring people of different communities together through initiatives such as the Scarborough Centre Multi Faith Council, firmly believing that what we have in common as Canadians is far stronger than what sets us apart. a recipient of the Diamond Jubilee Medal for Meritorious Community Service for her contributions to Canada. Salma holds a Master's in Educational Management and Administration from the University of London's Institute of Education and an MBA from Quaid-e-Azam University in Pakistan. Salma, her husband Salman, and their sons Umaid and Usman are proud and long-time residents of Scarborough. Very, we welcome you, Ms. Salma Zahid. Thank you so much for taking out time for being with us. And another panelist is, hello, how are you?
Thank you, Atika. Good afternoon. Thanks a lot for having me with you to discuss an issue which is very close to my heart. And thanks for all the great introduction you gave about me. So,
You deserve it. This is all about yourself and your efforts that you've made in your life. It's all the credit entirely goes to you, none, nobody else. And another panelist that we have is Ms. Shaheen Khan Naqshbandi, who is a Mumbai-based lawyer who specializes in women-related laws, matrimonial laws, and laws related to offences against women and children. Incidentally, she, along with her senior, Mrs. Ansuya Dutt, was the first lawyer to file the case under protection of women against domestic violence in Mumbai. The said law was passed in India in 2005. Mrs. Shaheen Khan Naqshbandi practices law in Mumbai High Court, Bombay High Court, Family Court, and various other civil and criminal courts in India. Let's begin this discourse. Welcome both the ladies on board. Are you there? Ms. Shaheen, have you joined us? Hi, hello, how are you? Hello, Shaheen, can you hear us? Am I audible to you, Shaheen? शाहीन आप मुझे सुन सकती हैं? शाहीन आप मुझे सुन सकती हैं? I think I'm not able to get the audio across to Shaheen. Yes, now she is. Can you hear me, Shaheen? क्या आप मुझे सुन सकती हैं? Yes, you can. I think you're muted. Can you unmute yourself?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, yes, now I can hear you. We all can hear you. Thank you and welcome.
I think there's some problem. Now I cannot hear you.
But we can hear you. I think the technical staff behind it must take care of this. Brian, are you there? Can you get to the root of this problem and kind of sort it for us? Okay, so let's start, Ms. Salma Zahid. Let me start with you. Uh, First of all, can you give us some sense into what is this happening across the world? I mean, we already were in a situation where the resources were scarce, the lives were getting difficult, and here is another problem kind of getting bigger and bigger with each passing day, and that is one half of the entire population, women having a tough time in their own homes, homes that are supposed to provide you safety and security and love and compassion. What is this happening and why would such a thing happen? You're not audible, Ms. Zahid. Can you unmute yourself, please? Yes.
thank you, and thanks for raising this important question. Yes, gender based violence is a fact. And even in a country like Canada, the statistics show that it's higher percentage, the percentage of women who are facing violence is much more higher than men. And I think this is something we need to look into. And
Mm.
uh, uh, there are many factors which contribute or lead towards gender-based violence. That can be poverty, like lack of education, lack of livelihood opportunities, and impunity for crime and abuse also tend to contribute to and reinforce a culture of violence and discrimination, which is based on gender. So I think it is really very important that we see the root cause and try to tackle that. So that I think for that, it is really very important that we take into consideration the poverty levels, the lack of education, and giving more economic power, financial stability to women.
So, Ms. Zahid, tell us, in the past 6 to 7 months, हम लोग देख रहे हैं कि एक ऐसी सिचुएशन जो हमने जिंदगी में शायद नहीं देखी। सुनते थे कि बहुत सालों पहले ऐसा एक वायरस आया था, इतने लाख लोग मर गए थे, and situation went spiraling out of control and things like that. And here we are in the 21st century, in a time where we are supposed to have done any and everything possible that was difficult 100 years ago. We've gone to the moon. We've done everything that makes the civilization of humanity proud. But as this started happening from the month of March, और ये जो पूरी situation create हुई, सबसे पहले तो we were dealing with COVID, then we were dealing with the job situation, then we were dealing with the 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 people slipping into depression, and then here we are listening to the facts that women are losing their lives. There have been women who have been murdered by their husbands, and that is the horrifying aspect of this entire situation. Tell us, what has been your reaction? What are the governments doing? I mean, it's fine that the people need to be educated, the women and the men need to be aware of the entire role of genders and support each other. But how has the law and order kind of sprung into action and made sure that it doesn't happen further?
I think this pandemic has just changed the lifestyle, I think, in every home. And home, which is considered to be like एक घर एक ऐसी चीज होती है जो like आप समझते हैं कि जी इससे ज्यादा safe जगह कोई नहीं है। अगर खुदा ना खास्ता कोई इंसिडेंट हो, कुछ हो, सबसे पहली बात जो होती है वो ये होती है कि भाई मैं जल्द अज जल्द अपने घर चली जाऊं. Like I should just get into my home because I know that is the best safe place for me. Lekin we have seen during this pandemic that the home has not been a safe place for many women and girls. There have been a lot of challenges, and we I'm very proud of the part of the government which has seen this. And right in the beginning of the pandemic, the government of Canada invested $50 million to support the women shelters and those organizations that are impacted by gender-based violence during this pandemic. And then another $50 million back in October, the Prime Minister and Honorable Minister Mariam Monsaf announced. And I have seen that that funding has been able to help many shelters to provide shelter to those women who were facing gender-based violence. This pandemic has hit the woman very hard. And I'm a member of the Standing Committee on Citizenship and Immigration, and we are doing a study on the impact of COVID-19 on women. And we have listened to testimonies, and we have seen that women are not returning back to work in the same percentage as the men are returning back to work. The unemployment rate has gone much higher for the women as compared to men. And there are different reasons for that. Women, like on the shoulders of the woman, there have been a lot of responsibilities. If the kids are not going to school, the kids are home, women have to take care of the kids. They have to, and those women who don't have the opportunity to work from home have not been able to go out because they have been, and I'll just give you an example. In case of many South Asian families, I represent a very diverse riding where people from different parts of the world have come and called that as their home. It's a 3-generation families. where the parents are with the living with the families. The families are looking after their young kids. So this pandemic has hit very hard our parents and grandparents also. So women have to take care of their parents. They are caregivers for their parents, grandparents.
Yes.
They have to make sure that the kids get logged into online schooling. They have to supervise that. So there have been a lot of responsibility on the woman.
And
And
incidentally, Ms. Zahid, you were born in England and you've lived in Canada, and your family originates from Pakistan. Tell me, what I also right now I'm sitting in India and we belong to the same subcontinent, and we probably maybe are a different set of we follow a different set of culture, and we in India and in our subcontinents while sitting here always had this complex thinking that the England and the Canada and all these beautiful countries are maybe far better off than us in terms of in terms of human rights, in terms of rights given to women, in terms of how quickly is justice given to you in the case of a crime if that happens against you. क्या इन दोनों मुल्कों या इन दोनों जो दुनिया के दो अलग अलग पार्ट्स हैं, इन दोनों में सिचुएशन एक नजर आ रही है आपको, या ये जो the developed world or the first world countries जो हैं इसमें सिचुएशन थोड़ी बेहतर है, because it is terrible in our parts?
See, I was born in UK, but I was just 3 months old when I went back to Pakistan, and I've been raised in Pakistan. I just went for doing my master's to UK, and
Okay.
then I came to Canada after my marriage with a 1-year-old son, and my husband and my second son was born here. But I've been raised in Pakistan. And the issues which women and girls face there are much more than what we see here in Canada. Like, yes, there is gender-based violence in Canada, but the issues which the women and girls face back home in Pakistan or other parts of the world are much more. And I tell you one thing, I think the root cause for many issues in the gender-based violence is lack of education. In a country like Pakistan, and if you go to villages, girls don't really get an opportunity to go to school.
जी.
Like, I count myself very lucky that I was born in a home where my father was a very strong believer that women need to get the same education. Like, I am the eldest and I have two young brothers, and my father has always been of the view that, okay, like, she needs to get the same education as my sons, but not many houses in Pakistan or that's the case. So lack of education and lack of economic stability are the root causes, one of the root causes of the gender-based violence. Yes, in Canada also we see a woman facing gender-based violence, and our government has taken many initiatives since 2015 to make sure that we can get people out of poverty. And Canada Child Benefit is an excellent example, which has lifted over 300,000 kids out of poverty since we came into power in 2015, and has given financial stability to many women who are single parents. Canada Child Benefit has given financial stability, and when I hear from the constituents in my riding, it's very humbling to know that yes, Canada Child Benefit is making a difference. And during this pandemic, also in May, there was an extra one-time payment for those families who are getting Canada Child Benefit, because we know that a lot of people are lost their jobs during this pandemic. CERB, which was started in March, Canada Emergency Response Benefit, and which has now, after 7 months, got changed into Canada Recovery Benefit, was able to provide enough resources to many families to put food on the table. Over 9 million Canadians took help of the CERB. When we see safe place, a safe housing, I think is really very important to stop gender-based violence. And that's why we as a government have invested a lot of money into National Housing Strategy. And there has been money out of the National Housing Strategy to make sure that there is more affordable housing for women.
Lovely, lovely. That's a great effort that your government has put in Ma'am. I would like to get in Miss Shaheen Khan Naqshbandi here. Shaheen ji, आपने सुना कि क्या कहा MP Salma Zahid ने कि the government is doing a lot of work and primarily in the sector where actually providing financial help to a woman who has left her house with a being a single parent with a child कि उसको आप support कर सकें अगर किसी लड़की को ये पता हो कि मैं अपना घर छोड़ूंगी तो मेरे पास जाने को कोई जगह है तब तो वो अपना घर छोड़ेगी वरना तो वो मार खाती रहेगी आपने ये जब लॉ इंडिया में पास हुआ 2005 में उसके बाद जो प्रोटेक्शन ऑफ वुमेन अगेंस्ट डोमेस्टिक वायलेंस एक्ट के तहत जो पहला केस था वो आप लोगों ने लड़ा था उसका कुछ एक्सपीरियंस बताइए कि 2005 से लेके 2020 तक क्या चेंजेस आपको लगे हैं cannot hear you no can you unmute yourself Shaheen can you unmute yourself I can see a mute sign right now can you unmute yourself no I still cannot hear you no क्योंकि आपकी कंट्रीब्यूशन बहुत ज्यादा रही है इस फील्ड में और हम आपको सुनना चाहेंगे you have actually been on the ground fighting the perils the evils can you hear me the technical team behind backstage can you please help the technical team can you please help we cannot hear what she's saying
Good afternoon. How are you? Wherever you're watching from, my name is Gloria Gift Nankunda, and I'm very glad to be a part of Break the Silence in COVID-19, brought to you by the Artists and Artisans Development and Network, funded by the Red Cross Canada. Thank you so much for bringing the conversation about the prevention of elderly abuse as well as violence against women, especially this lockdown. As you may have known throughout this workshop, there were a lot of numbers. The percentages have gone up. People are suffering, and we are now encouraging you, please speak up and seek help. This first song that I'm going to sing today is called Far and Beyond. It's off my Nankunda album. And why am I singing this? You know, we might sit here and speak to you as a victim or even as a perpetrator. But I'm telling you that unless you choose to go seek help, we cannot help you. So I'm telling you that the world may choose to change you, but it is all up to you to go and stand for yourself. So here it is, Far and Beyond, of course, with my partner in crime, Mr. Neil Gardner. Thank you so much. Through the dust, we're the ones who yearn for crimson love. The earth belongs to us when we are young, wishing we belong to someone. I can take you far and beyond. This world will change you, but only if you want. I can take you far and beyond. My heart will save you. It is where you belong. Lost in the sign. And even if we lose our minds and the faith within us dies, I hold you every time, 'cause I can take you far and beyond. This world will change you, but only if you want. I can take you far and beyond. My heart will save you. It is where you belong. Like feathers in the breeze, Lord knows where we have been. Tomorrow is a dream till sunrise. Through laughter and the tears, through courage and fear, we'll find a way through the night. Can take you far and beyond. This world will change you, but only if you want. I can take you far and beyond. My heart will save you. It is where you belong.
What a lovely performance. So I must tell you that this lady was Gloria Gift Nankunda. She is a musician, she's a singer, a voiceover artist, an actor, and she's also a part of this entire artist and artisans development and network. And let me tell you a little about her. She's this wonderful girl who's added to the diversity of Canada. She, as her name goes, was born with a vocal gift mentored by a doting grandmother. Music became her strength, transcending with her on life's journey. Her soulful voice has delivered an 8-track debut album, Nandkunda, released in September 2019. Her music is a delightful euphony of tales derived from her rich Ankoli heritage in Uganda, meshed with her life experiences. She's been singing since she was 5 years old. Furthermore, in high school, through participation in music and dance competitions and school choir. Gloria obtained a diploma in acting for TV, film, and theatre from the Toronto Film School. She has immersed herself in this industry, wearing many hats from actor, producer, director, voiceover artist, host, MC, to setting up her own venture, Risha Productions, a creative space that nurtures talent. Gloria has had the opportunity to showcase and share her Afro folk soul musical style on various stages, stretching from Boston's Summer Splash to the Canadian Music Week, Canadian Asian Fashion Week, Pearl of Africa events and Black History Month, African Music Week Toronto, African Fashion Week Toronto, Artists and Artisans Development Network, a Voice series, African Women Acting Digital Performance Series, Inclusive Arts Festival, Small World Music Festival 2020, and now Break the Silence in COVID-19 series. She's also a member of the first emergency cohort as facilitated by the Small World Music Center. Nankunda, her passionate ensemble of melody and story can be found online on Spotify, Apple Music, Google Play, Tidal, and iTunes. Gloria, that was a wonderful piece. Thank you so much. We will keep coming back to you for some musical relief because, as we all know, amidst all the pain and agony, music is what heals the soul. Thank you. And let us get back to the discourse that we were having. Is Shaheen audible now? I would like to ask her a very important question.
Atika, can you hear me? Let's be
Yes,
clear on that.
now we've got
That's
you.
nice.
थैंक
Sure.
यू सो
Thank
शाहीन
you for that.
आपने बाकायदा केस लड़े हैं उन औरतों के लिए जिन्होंने आवाज उठाई जिन्होंने कहा नो मोर इनफ इज इनफ ये जानते हुए कि उनके आगे जो जिंदगी है वो उतनी अच्छी नहीं होगी. They'll have to come out of the comfort zone. Tell us that first case that you fought with the new law passed.
The day, the moment a woman stands up, her struggle begins. And that's in itself is an achievement, that in itself is a success. My first case, the reason why I actually worked on this case was this was one law which was giving an opportunity to a Muslim woman to get a roof over their head. There was no other law that which would give them this opportunity. That was one reason why I struggled very hard. And the moment I got the first case, I grabbed the opportunity, and we were the first lawyers in Bombay to file this case now here. In case of those were the times when triple talaq was still valid and things were more difficult. Thereafter, apart from being the struggles of Muslim women, a woman is a woman, but regardless of which community she belongs to, they all share a common agony when it comes to struggles with patriarchal society.
True.
Domestic violence law. See, it is very important. Social reforms takes a lot of time, but rule of law is very important. It's
Yes,
very
yes.
important. There should be some legal dissent. There should be some legal deterrence, and these laws, whether it is Protection of Women from Domestic Violence Act, whether it's POCSA, whether it is Rape Amendment Acts, whether it's Sexual Harassment Against Women Act, all these acts, government has done its job by bringing in laws. Now, our country face two spearheaded issues. One is a rural community, another is an urban.
Yes.
Urban community, in most of the cases, are at least aware that they are being oppressed. Whereas the rural community, most of the times they have internalized oppression. They assume it is part and accepted it is. So our struggle is much higher. It is not only about education. It is about unlearning and learning. It is about reconstruction of minds, about gender justice, about treating, about accepting that patriarchy is an injustice to women.
That's right. That's right. Um, Given the number of cases or given the number of incidents happening, do you see the same number of women wanting to come out of that situation?
I see there is a lot of awareness among women. And across all kinds of communities, educated or regardless of income groups, I see women, and fair enough, there is a lot of awareness among women. There are some government schemes also, but besides that, free legal aid, for example, free legal aid for the victims of domestic violence. There's a government program called Sakshi for rural areas. So there are, but apart from that, there are quasi government associations like NGOs, Women Working for Women. They are also very proactive to educate women, to make them aware of their rights. And I see the number of women that I started working with has immensely increased. Women are aware, and they assert, they know there is a law that can protect them. And what a beautiful thing this is.
Yes. And what about their rehabilitation or relocation? Does government come up with schemes that kind of financially support them, give them jobs?
Sakshi does has some. See, you have to understand two things. There are many government schemes which are general in nature, where women are helped with skills, with training, providing them nutrition. There are these schemes. They can be narrowed down to women who are victims of domestic violence,
Mm-hmm.
but they are available for general women. As far as specifically any policy for victims of domestic violence, we cannot compete with the developed countries over there.
That's right. That's right. And tell us, Shaheen, do you see an impact or an effect of movies or popular media that has kind of changed the narrative or kind of impacted the way women themselves think about themselves? I mean, I know of so many women जिनको लगता है कि ठीक है चलता है वो तो मजाजी खुदा है वो तो पति परमेश्वर है वो तो परमात्मा है आना तो इसी के पास है सात जन्म का नाता है. And I see many affluent women talking like that as well. They think it's okay and it's a too small a price to pay for a comfortable, decent living with your head held high in the society. So that stigma is still there कि नहीं हमको थोड़ा पर पेन बर्दाश्त है, लेकिन वो सारी जिंदगी की जो एक कहानी बन जाएगी सिंगल औरत की, वो हमें नहीं चाहिए.
See, our South Asian countries have a different culture, different society, different traditions. And this is where I said it is internalizing patriarchy. And it's not only men who are, even women have internalized patriarchy. This is where we need unlearning of patriarchy. This is where we have to understand what exactly gender justice means. And yes, there is no two ways about it that even affluent women, educated women, women who are financially independent, even they are trapped in this nuisance of social issues that, samaj kya kahega, talaq nahi honi chahiye. Movies, media, yes, they has played a role. It was always Sati Savitri image, a woman, a Puritan image, an image of a woman who is sacrificing, a woman who bears all oppression is taken as a very pious woman, is a revered woman.
Yes,
ये जो concept
yes.
है ना, वो हमने बच्चों में डाल के रखा हुआ है. So this has to be we have to understand that oppression is oppression, it is injustice. This has to be inculcated. I think a new
जी.
generation is here. Media has definitely, media is a reflection of our society. Whatever happens in the society, media reflects it. But at the same time, media has a responsibility of educating society. Build up perceptions. It can manufacture minds. If it can do that, if media becomes proactive or educative, definitely things will change.
कुछ
Who
ऐसे
will build the
इंसिडेंट्स
gap?
बताएं. Who will build the cat? कुछ ऐसे इंसिडेंट्स बताएं शाहीन, जब किसी विक्टिम की बातों ने आपको झंझोड़ दिया हो, किसी विक्टिम के एहसासात ने, उनके एक्सपीरियंसेस ने आपको झंझोड़ दिया हो, जो कहानी आप कईयों को सुनाती हो कि मैंने एक ऐसी औरत को इंसाफ दिलाया था.
अतिका, मैं कमर्शियल लॉ में काम करती थी जब मैंने काम करना स्टार्ट किया था, और मेरा
जी.
इस फील्ड में आने का मकसद ही यही था कि मुझे इस तरह की एक औरत मिली थी जिसने मुझसे कहा था कि मुझे आप इंसाफ दिलाएं. और उस वक्त हमारे पास कोई लॉ ऐसा नहीं था वेयर आई कुड गिव हर जस्टिस. और उसके बाद मैंने अपना कमर्शियल लॉ में रेजिग्नेशन दिया. आई केम ओवर हियर and joined Mrs. Ansuya Dutt, and then we filed this protection. I realized the problems and issues with women only after hearing that woman's story. She's a famous woman. I will not name her over here, but that woman, मामूली सी लड़की थी, किसी छोटे से गांव से आई थी यूपी के, और किसी क्लार्क से उसकी शादी हुई थी. 7 साल की शादी और 3 बच्चों के बाद उसका हस्बैंड दूसरी औरत घर ले आता है. शी ऑब्जेक्ट्स. He gives a triple talaq, throw her out of the house, and she said me. She said me, and it still sends the chills down the spine. She said, "Madam, मेरे बच्चे भूखे थे." She went into flesh trade. Thereafter, she went into another kind of entertainment and made a lot of money. When she had enough money to pay, and the topmost lawyer of Bombay, she came to us and said, "Madam, give me justice." So my senior asked me, she's a Muslim woman, provide her a justice. And I didn't know what I could do for her. That was the moment my senior made me realize the women of your community need a law that can protect a roof over their head. I realized my responsibility towards the community and towards women in general, and I joined this stream of law, of practice.
Wow, वही कहावत है ना, hell hath no fury than a woman scorned, and the hand that rocks the cradle is the hand that rules the world. वो जब एक औरत को समझ में आ जाता है कि उसकी काबिलियत क्या है, तब उसको कोई रोक नहीं सकता. लेकिन वही टर्निंग पॉइंट बहुत जरूरी होता है. I would like to get in MP Salma Zahid here. Are you there, ma'am?
Yes, how are you?
आपने सुना इन्होंने क्या कहा कि रूट लेवल पे ये जो काम कर रही हैं, और ऐसी ऐसी कहानियां इनके पास हैं, ऐसी ऐसी औरतें इनके पास इतने अजीब और गरीब किस्म के किस्से लेकर आती हैं कि these people are the मतलब इनकी अगर ये किताब लिखने लगे तो वो किताब कितनी इंस्पायरिंग होगी कि हम सोच नहीं सकते. Do you see a difference between the thinking of an affluent woman and a woman who's totally downtrodden? आपको लगता है इन दो वर्गों के सोचने के तरीके में बहुत फर्क है, क्योंकि यही सारी प्रॉब्लम है कि औरतें अपने दिमाग को उस मकाम पे ला नहीं पाती जहां वो अपने आप को इस काबिल समझे कि हमारे साथ इंसाफ होना चाहिए.
देखें, मैं आपको बताऊं, इसमें जो है ना, लैक ऑफ एजुकेशन, लैक ऑफ अवेयरनेस के कम्युनिटी में क्या सपोर्ट्स अवेलेबल हैं, वो एक बहुत बड़ा फैक्ट है. क्योंकि मैं खुद इन माय कैपेसिटी एज मेंबर ऑफ पार्लियामेंट, मेरे पास बहुत सारे कॉन्स्टिट्यूएंट्स, बहुत सारी खातून ऐसी आती हैं, और ये मैंने स्टेटस ऑफ वुमेन के उसमें जो है डिफरेंट स्टडीज़ में भी देखा है. स्टैटिस्टिक्स कनाडा ने जो डेटा शो किया है वो भी वाज़ेह शो करता है कि जो है ना जी, रेशलाइज कम्युनिटीज में वुमेन ऑफ कलर, माइनॉरिटी का, इंडिजिनस वुमेन, ये जो है डोमेस्टिक वायलेंस का ज्यादा शिकार हैं. एक तो ये है कि मैंने अपनी राइडिंग में देखा है मैनी केसेस जो है ना, खवातीन को अपने हक का ही नहीं पता होता, उनको ये मालूम ही नहीं होता कि उनके राइट्स क्या हैं.
जी.
ठीक है ना, क्योंकि उसमें खवातीन को इस बात का ये इंडिकेशन देना कि भाई आपको कोई इस तरह ब्लैकमेल नहीं कर सकता. काफ़ी खवातीन जो है ना, वो समझती हैं जिस तरह अगर इमिग्रेशन में कि भाई खुदा ना खास्ता मैं घर छोड़ के चली गई, अपने हस्बैंड को मैंने कुछ कहा तो वो मेरा इमिग्रेशन सिटीजनशिप का स्टेटस ही कैंसिल कर देगा. दिस इज द फैक्ट. मैं आपको बताऊं, तो जब मैं उनको ये एश्योरेंस देती हूँ और ये बताती हूँ कि भाई ये नहीं है फैक्ट, आपका जो है सिटीजनशिप आपकी या आपका पीआर स्टेटस कोई इस तरह कैंसिल नहीं करवा सकता. तो इसलिए बहुत जरूरी है, और हमारी राइडिंग में बहुत सारी ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस हैं ऐसी जो इस पे काफी ज्यादा काम कर रहे हैं कि भाई खवातीन को सबसे पहले ये बताया जाए कि उनके राइट्स क्या हैं. अगर खुदा ना खास्ता वो एक ऐसी सिचुएशन में आ जाते हैं जहाँ के वो सेक्सुअल वायलेंस जो है ना दे हैव टू फेस, तो वेयर कैन दे टर्न फॉर हेल्प? There is देखिए, if anyone cannot afford to hire a lawyer, the Ontario legal aid is available for many people. The women can go and get Ontario legal aid to fight their cases. तो इसलिए ये बहुत जरूरी है कि हमारी जो ग्रास रूट ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस हैं, लाइक आर्टिस्ट एंड आर्टिजन डेवलपमेंट एंड नेटवर्क, एंड हैट्स ऑफ टू दिस ऑर्गेनाइजेशन फॉर डूइंग द वर्क व्हिच दे आर डूइंग. बहुत सारी ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस ऐसी हैं जो अवेयरनेस क्रिएट कर रही हैं, एंड इट इज एजुकेटिंग मेनी वुमेन. So it is really very important that we invest in education of women. We make sure that we create resources for women that they can get out of poverty. Getting out of poverty line, I think, gives them a lot of assurance. If single mothers or like women who are facing violence, they know, yes, they can put food on the table for their kids. वो उनका जो है ना, वो कहते हैं कि सवा से खून ही बढ़ जाएगा उस बात से. तो ये बहुत जरूरी है कि हम अवेयरनेस क्रिएट करें और जो है कम्युनिटी में एक दूसरे की हेल्प करें. मेरी राइडिंग में जो विक्टोरिया पार्क हब है, they are doing amazing work for the empowerment of the women. Dorset Park Hub, Arab Community Center, these are some of the examples who are providing that support to women, providing support to the new immigrant women, because when new immigrant women come in, they really don't know where to go in case of some issues. जो है, जो खवातीन स्पाउसल एप्लीकेशंस के तहत आती हैं, लाइक उनके हस्बैंड उनको शादी के बाद स्पॉन्सर करते हैं और वो यहाँ आती हैं, उसमें भी नोटिस लॉट ऑफ केसेस व्हिच आर कमिंग अप के भाई दे आर फेसिंग सेक्सुअल लाइक जेंडर बेस्ड वायलेंस, एंड that's why we cancelled the condition back in 2017 that no one can take their citizenship back. Like if they have to get out of that relationship, they maintain their PR status.
Oh, interesting.
Ji.
Interesting. Shaheen ji, what are the things that we can learn from Canada here? What are the rules and nice set of rules that they have जो हमारे पास शायद नहीं है? Like she just mentioned, the government has spent like millions and millions of dollars of just making shelter homes for the victims. जो अपने घरों को छोड़कर कहीं जाना चाहती हैं, वो जाएंगी कहाँ? So the government has provided them shelter homes. ये कुछ चीजें शायद ऐसी हैं जिसपे हमारे सबकॉन्टिनेंट में हमारी गवर्नमेंट को काम करना चाहिए.
हाँ, इन चीज़ों पे हमें बिल्कुल काम करना चाहिए और हमें जो है ना उसमें डेटा गैदरिंग इज अनदर फैक्टर आई थिंक विच कैन हेल्प अस to stop gender-based violence, because if data is collected and intersectional lens is provided, then we will have more data to show that, okay, which groups of women are facing more violence, where which
लेकिन जहाँ
communities
तक
are facing more
इन्वेस्टमेंट
violence.
का ताल्लुक है, गवर्नमेंट का इन्वेस्टमेंट,
गो ऑन शाहीन, क्या कह रही हैं आप? शाहीन, आप कुछ बहुत जरूरी बात कह रही हैं क्या? कैन यू गो ऑन प्लीज? शाहीन,
मैं कह रही हूँ कि कि आप ये उम्मीद रखिए. Can you hear me? Yeah.
yes, yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes, yes, yes,
Okay.
I can hear you.
मैं कह रही हूँ कि मैं ये कह रही हूँ कि गवर्नमेंट का कितना इन्वेस्टमेंट औरतों, बच्चों या मजलूम औरतों के लिए, विक्टिम वुमेन के लिए होता है, उसका कंपैरिजन हम डेवलप्ड कंट्रीज के साथ नहीं कर सकते हैं. दैट इज फर्स्ट थिंग. सेकंड थिंग, अपने लेवल पर सब कुछ करती है. थर्ड थिंग, हमें क्वाजी गवर्नमेंट इंस्टीट्यूशंस पर भी बहुत इन्हिसार करना चाहिए. We have to work with quasi government institutions like NGOs, like CSRs of companies. आप यहाँ काम करें. अगर आपके पास गवर्नमेंट के पास इतनी एड नहीं है तो there are many ways which can be developed. मगर उस सब के लिए there has to be a harmonious and awareness and education. अगर जैसे आप और मैं जैसे चंद लोग अगर हम मिलकर किसी कंपनी के पास जाए और कहे कि भाई आप अपने CSR का फंड इतना हमें दें, हम ये हमारी NGO और हम ये काम करेंगे, तो 100% आपको मिलेगा. लेकिन इतनी कोशिशें, ये कोशिशें करने के लिए भी एक किस्म की ड्राइव की जरूरत है. Completely depend. We have to understand our shortcomings. We just cannot expect huge kind of investments from the government, and for our kind of population, that is not really possible. Not at this stage.
Interesting. And let's talk like women ourselves. Let's understand the psyche of women post the victimization. आपको क्या लगता है कि घर तो बचा रहता है, शादी तो बची रहती है, ये 2-3 चीजें बची रहती हैं, लेकिन कांस्टेंट विक्टिमाइजेशन के बाद ओवर अ पीरियड ऑफ सब्जुगेशन एक औरत की साइकी पे क्या असर पड़ता है? मे बी फॉर एग्जांपल सोचिए कि 10 times 20 times a woman has been beaten up by her husband. How does she change as a person without even realizing that she has changed?
देखिए, इसका इफेक्ट आई थिंक ना सिर्फ उन खवातीन पे होता है जो वायलेंस फेस करती हैं, बल्कि आगे से जो अगली जनरेशन है ऑन देयर यंग गर्ल्स, वो भी एक बहुत ज़्यादा अफेक्ट करते हैं. तो इसलिए आई थिंक ये बहुत ज़रूरी है कि वी प्रोवाइड सम मेंटरशिप to those women and provide them with some examples of some breaking of glass ceilings. I think some good mentors coming them to talk to them, I think can motivate those people. Again, मैं यहाँ कनाडा 1999 में आई थी. अगर 16 साल में like working through different obstacles, I can be a voice of the people of Scarborough Center. I think all our women can dream big, work hard towards that. And I even remember in Pakistan, I think I was a student in doing my undergrad when Benazir Bhutto became the Prime Minister of Pakistan. And I think it was like really for us that, yes, a woman can, there was a lot of negative commentary on her. Many people who like women cannot be a ruler of the country, but like for us as young girls doing our undergrad, I think it was a big thing that yes, a woman can lead this country, so we can also do anything. So I think it's really very important. And in 2015, when Prime Minister Justin Trudeau came into power, like Liberal government came into power, and seeing the first ever gender balanced cabinet, I think was a big thing. It was very motivating, inspirational for many women and girls that yes, we have a cabinet where we see 50% women. Honorable Mariam Monsef being on the cabinet, coming here as a refugee. I think these are some of these examples that we should put in front, and like our young girls and like women should be able to see that. I think that gives a lot of confidence to our next generation, seeing that.
Yes, you're right. You're so right. Even while we were growing up, we had examples like our own Prime Minister Indira Gandhi, and then in the film world, we had Shabana Azmi and Smita Patel um, enacting stories and enacting the characters of women who were far, far ahead in their, and just the way society perceived women. And then we had IPS officers like Kiran Bedi. So you're right. एक दूसरों को देख के हमारे अंदर कभी कभी डर आता है और दूसरों को देखकर ही हमारे अंदर ताकत आती है. So it'll be nice to have more examples of
And so
fearlessness.
this recent election in USA and the Kamala Harris becoming the vice president in USA, I think tells a lot that what women can do. And I think it's a big thing for everyone across the world to see a woman of color, a woman in that powerful position. So I think for our next generations, dream big and work towards that, and never get disheartened by many things here and there. I think that's what they need to look. I tell you, I'll just quote a personal example of mine. Please. When I was seeking the candidacy, in 2013, when I decided that I will throw my name in the hat and run for the position of the Member of Parliament in Scarborough Centre. First, I had to get through the Liberal nomination. So I had to compete and win the election for becoming the Liberal candidate in Scarborough Centre. And when I started going door to door, at one door, one person comes out and says, my husband was with me and said, we said, yes, I am trying to seek Liberal nomination. I hope I can count on your support. He looks towards me and said, oh, have all men died in Scarborough Centre that a woman is running?
God.
So
oh, God.
I looked at him and I said to myself, I think that's the reason that I need to win this.
Yes, it needs to change. Exactly.
I need to show people like this person that yes, a woman can be a woman of color, a new immigrant woman can be a member of parliament and can represent people of Scarborough Centre. So I think I don't get I think if something comes to me like that, I am even more motivated, and I think it gives me more reason to work even harder and say that yes, I can do this and I should do this. So
but tell us, yes, but you've spent so many years in Canada, madam, and you have been actually there in the seat of power. Tell us an idea about the male perspective. Do you think the Indian, let's compare the men in our subcontinent and let's compare the men in your subcontinent. How different are their approach towards women?
For the success of the woman, I think the men have to play their part. And as we say that, I think behind every woman's success, there is always a part what the men do. Because I think, and this is what we need to do, that we need to talk to our sons, we need to talk to our young kids and educate them about women empowerment, women education, and making sure that women can lead this world. I cannot do this if I don't have the support of my husband. He's also of Pakistani origin, but he has walked every step alongside me in this journey of politics. I cannot do this without the support of my two, not now young boys, but young men, 22 and 20 years old. Because first of all, for them to understand this, that yes, she is doing this for the good of the community, and if for that she is not home all the time, or they cannot get a fresh meal every day, I think is really very important. And then making sure that they are there to be part of the my team campaigns. My husband and both my sons have always played a front role in the campaigns to get me elected. Without their support, I cannot do this, and I won't have been able to do this. So I think it is really very important for men to understand that yes, they need to play their role for the success of the women, success of their wives, success of their mothers, success of their sisters.
Yes.
Our men and boys have to play their part in the success of the woman.
Absolutely. You have two bright young boys growing up. I think they will also be one day somewhere in the whole scenario of power and the scenario of politics. And I'm hoping that they grow into fine gentlemen and very well raised by yourself. Shaheen, tell me, जैसे उन्होंने बोला कि एक आदमी की सख्त जरूरत होती है अगर एक औरत कुछ करना चाहती है. You are also a mother. हमें एक कहावत है कि if you think you can do it or if you think you can't do it, either ways you are right. ये आपके अपने मनोबल पे है कि आप क्या करते सकते हैं और क्या नहीं कर सकते हैं. Tell me, if a woman wants to do something, कि नहीं मुझे करना है, करना पड़ेगा ही, और उसके साथ एक आदमी ना हो, मान लो उसका हस्बैंड ना सपोर्ट कर रहा हो, तो ऐसे में आप हथियार डाल के बैठ तो नहीं सकते कि भाई उनको नहीं पसंद है तो हम नहीं करेंगे. ऐसे में एक औरत क्या करे जब वो खुद तो कुछ करना चाह रही है अपनी जिंदगी का, लेकिन उसका साथी साथ नहीं दे रहा है? Because there are many women listening to us right now, and they might be in such a situation.
अतिका, आपको पता है ऑपरेशन क्या होता है? ऑपरेशन ये होता है कि when a woman change her trait to please her husband, when she changes something so that her husband is not unhappy with her, ये होता है ऑपरेशन, something we don't realize. तो जहां से आपने ऑपरेशन को कबूल कर लिया है, you already become a victim. So don't become a victim. If you think there is something that you really want to do and it is justified, you have the ability, then go ahead for it.
Okay.
The person who's not accepting you as a talented person, as a skilled person, has his own complexes. Let him deal with it.
That's wonderful.
और आपने एक सवाल किया था मैडम से, आपने कहा था कि बच्चों पर क्या असर होता है. मैं आपको ये बताती हूँ, अपने तजर्बे से बताती हूँ, एक्सपीरियंस से, बच्चों से नहीं. आपने कहा था कि औरत पर क्या असर होता है. When a woman takes oppression, when a woman is oppressed, उसकी पर्सनालिटी पर तो असर होता ही होता है, but her children, they acquire negative traits. Their personality totally gets affected, and if you look at them, they become egoistic, they become
negative, arrogant,
angry children, or they arrogant, or they become depressed. So it is not a very healthy or a positive environment that you are giving just because you want to put up with something for the social reason or to please anyone. That is a very unfair decision that you're doing for yourself as well as for your children. Something that is not working, instead of holding it, come out of it. Work to give yourself and your children a better environment.
Let's talk about the stigma around breaking of a marriage. In various cultures, in various faiths, marriage को लेके अलग-अलग understanding or versions हैं. In some places, marriage is not something that will be there till eternity, and you have to abide by it. You have to live with it. चाहे कुछ हो जाए, वो जन्म जन्मांतर का साथ नहीं है. कहीं कहीं ये जन्म जन्मांतर का साथ है. The world is a mix. It's a heterogeneous mix of various faiths and cultures. So we are talking about people who are born and raised with a certain set of values about different concepts such as marriage. Tell us कि ये जो पूरा societal हमारा system है जो आपको ये believe करवाता है that the best thing, the best life lived is a life where the vows of marriage are intact and upheld till the last breath of your life. Does this play a big part in domestic violence becoming a norm? And would the change in this perception actually eventually change in the numbers of domestic violence?
I think every relationship demands respect, and it is the mutual understanding, patience level. वो मेरी वालदा कहती थी कि 5 उंगलियां बराबर नहीं होती. Like no one is
जी
going to be perfect. So it's a relationship like आप give and take के साथ एक mutual understanding के साथ develop करते हैं और रिलेशनशिप में अगर रिस्पेक्ट ना हो तो फिर वो जो है ना जी हिंड्रेंसेस उसमें आती हैं एंड दैट क्रिएट्स इशू तो इसलिए ये बहुत ज़रूरी है कि जी लाइक हस्बैंड वाइफ के रिलेशनशिप में दोनों जो हैं वो एक दूसरे को एक रिस्पेक्ट का लेवल दें दोनों को अंडरस्टैंड करने की कोशिश करें कुछ वो गिव एंड टेक करे कुछ वो गिव एंड टेक करे उसी तरह एक घर की गाड़ी चल सकती है आई थिंक शाहीन वाज सेइंग समथिंग
शाहीन
Sorry, I interrupted you.
No, I'm very happy you said that. We all want that ideal life, and not many are lucky with that.
So what happens when you're not lucky with that? See, the idea of getting remarried, Shaheen, the idea of being able to get married again, the idea of remarriage, the idea of being married twice, ये आज भी हमारे माशरे में हमारी सोसाइटी में अच्छी नजर से नहीं देखा जाता है आपके अंदर कमियां निकालते हैं कि ये शायद डिफिकल्ट टू गेट अलोंग होंगी या होंगे जिसकी वजह से वो एक रिश्ता ऐसा जुड़ता है कि टूटना उसका मुश्किल हो जाता है so if we are more okay if we warm up to the idea of remarriage maybe the situation that has kind of arisen कि भाई आप उस पार्टनर को छोड़ नहीं रहे हैं बावजूद इसके कि वो आपके ऊपर सितम कर रहा है जुल्म कर रहा है that I think our movies especially in our subcontinent in fact in every movie even in the west you see the vows of marriage and all these things are so sacred and the popular media has firmly drilled it into our psyche कि remarriage is not a good thing while it is not a bad thing at all.
There are different cultures. There are many cultures, like Arab and African cultures, where remarriage is not at all an issue and it's very acceptable. Unfortunately, we come from a culture, a tradition, where these things are not as welcomed as in other cultures. And यही conventional traditions थी जिसकी मैं बात कर रही थी जिसको unlearn करने की जरूरत है यही वो चीजें कि even educated women, successful women, financially independent women remain stuck in bad marriages. Take all humiliation, take all unhappiness, and are still scared to let it go. तो ये इसका रीजन तो यही है कि भाई आपकी अपब्रिंगिंग जो है आपका एनवायरनमेंट जो है आपकी सोसाइटी जो है पीपल एसोसिएटेड विथ यू दे claim power on you. They have not only imbibed or given you those kind of conventional understanding, perception, they have simply drilled patriarchal system in your mind and they want to live and continue with that. Acceptance of patriarchal system लोगों को समझ ही नहीं आता है कि हमने ये accept कर लिया है. We are accepted and we are living with that. They don't even want to revolt and anybody who's revolting against us is a rebel.
आप ऐसी औरतों से मिली हैं शाहीन आप ऐसी औरतों से मिली होंगी
बहुत औरतों से मिलती हूँ और आप मेरी बात पर यकीन करें कि मैंने देखा है लोअर स्ट्राटा में लोअर इनकम ग्रुप्स में women are more liberal as compared to middle class women upper class are also comparatively liberal तो ये सारा जो मसला है ये मिडिल क्लास के साथ होता है जहाँ पे औरतें अच्छी खासी पोजीशंस पर होती हैं they are successful in their careers they boss around in their office they come home and then they choose to remain tied up with a marriage which is just giving them an agony.
That's a wonderful observation.
I think we all need to work together to make sure that we provide support and help to those women who are facing gender-based violence. And for that, I think it is really very important that the education awareness has to be created among women that they need to know that it is in case, God forbid, things don't work out with their spouse, it should not be seen as a stigma in the society. So I think it is really very important that we create awareness for the women that no, like see, same thing for mental health. Many people see that as a stigma and people really don't come out and they don't find that opportunity to talk about their issues. So same thing is that we should develop we should have some mentorship groups who are there where women can seek help in case if they are facing violence at their home. They need to know, okay, this is a place I can go to this woman and talk, and they will be able to guide me in a right direction. And people like us have to create awareness that no, in spite of doing your best, if at the end of the day your relationship doesn't work out, you should not see that as a stigma. And we need to educate, we need to talk about these things at our homes, even with young, like our sons, even with our brothers. And we need to show them the examples at home that yes, if like my son see that yes, their father respects the wife, and like due respect is given at home by their father, so naturally they will have an example, and they would know that yes, this is the same level of respect we need. Once we get married, we need to provide to our wife.
Yes.
This is the respect we need to provide to our younger sisters. So I think in every home we need to provide examples to our next generation to make sure that that level of respect for women, for their spouses, is there.
Yes, as they say, charity begins at home, and Mahatma Gandhi very famously said, "Be the change that you wish to see in the world." We're having a lovely conversation here. Let's break into one beautiful musical performance by Gloria, and then we come back and briefly have a small conversation and then wrap it up. Gloria, come up with something really nice that can soothe our nerves.
This next song is called Aiwowowo Ungabwa. It is a cover of a lady that I've looked up to while growing up by the names of Prosi Kankunda. Ngabwa means, it's an endearment, saying the beauty of giving birth to a girl child. When you give birth to a girl child, kneel down and thank the heavens because you've given birth to something precious, to someone very precious. We're talking about the prevention of violence against women in this lockdown. So I am reminding you, to the men that, or the women that are, beating each other's partners, I am telling you, please value the worth of a woman. Thank you. Ayubobongabwa ayununu nenyonyozi numkija mukija boro buhoroje ruchirabona beniwe ayubobongabwa ayununu nenyonyozi numkija mukija boro buhoroje ruchirabona beniwe kambagambire bagenzi banje omwana w'omwishikine kirabo yareba bwaza rwose mbamajoye bazogonya mango mwetizi ndangabwa ngugwereba yabanangura amezi nage yahiziba ejafukana kwata namani nasera harubengo ayibobobongabwa ngugwereba yabanakura abashija b'inzu bamuhiga n'ubushesha n'ubwira natonze atinde kubenda nyowe ndiyo mwana wo muhira reba nagira atinde ukusherwa umunyarwanda data na mawe nimbatina ababahira batiza baweju ababitira ya mawe ayibobobongabwa ayibobobongabwa ayununu nenyonyozi numkija mukije boro buhoroje rutsirabona beniwe hazamtahunga tahunga ya mawe, hazam tahunga bishimwe, hazam tahunga, hazam tahunga, ayubobonga wa, ayununu nenyonyozi, namkija mukija buhoro buhoro je, yutsirabona beniwe, namkija mukija buhoro buhoro je, yutsirabona beniwe. Thank you.
This was so beautiful. Thank you, Gloria. You know, I remember this Hindi song. It goes like this. एक प्यार का नगमा है मौजों की रवानी है जिंदगी और कुछ भी नहीं तेरी मेरी कहानी है. Music can be so elevating for the soul. In fact, it actually acts like a therapy to your soul if you are really feeling battered. Madam Salma Zahid and Shaheen, just in the end, let's talk briefly on अगर आप इस परेशानी से गुजर रहे हैं कि आपके हस्बैंड, आपके लाइफ पार्टनर, आपके बॉयफ्रेंड, आपके लिव इन पार्टनर, whoever is the man in your life, he is becoming verbally and physically abusive towards you, आप क्या करें?
Thank you, Tika. And I think it is to create awareness that yes, in case of those circumstances, there is some help which they can get and get proper guidance that what they need to do. And in case of very abusive relationships, if they have to get out of it, they see some light that yes, if they want to get out of the abusive relationship, like they have a place in a shelter or they have a place to go. I think that surety is really very important. So they need to know that yes, what are their rights and what they can do to fight for their rights. So the awareness about and education about knowing your rights and knowing the way how to go about it, I think is really very important. And it is we being elected representatives, I think it is very important that the government is there to at the back of those women by providing support to the organizations, to those who are trying to help women fleeing violence, providing support, appropriate support level to the shelters where women can go and live in case they are facing gender-based violence.
Lovely. Shaheen?
First of all, accept that you're being abused. And no abuse should ever be accepted, should ever be tolerated. Stand up, bond with fellow women who have been through those kind of situations. That will give you some positivity, some support system, some way how to deal with it. Use all the available information and resources available at your disposal to fight and struggle and come up. Now, having said all this, I am sure our conversation was not at all man versus woman. It was the beauty of human race is diversity in gender. It was only because for years and years and centuries, women have been oppressed. It's only now we are realizing, we are accepting, and we are asserting ourselves. So we speak about it.
No, I think as an
Lovely.
official, and as or to all those women who are in the positions of power, and whether they are they're leading grassroots organizations or elected representatives, I think it is really very important that we keep raising awareness, we keep pushing our governments at all levels, whether it is local, municipal government, provincial government, federal governments, to do more. Make sure that there are resources for those organizations who are trying to collect data, because having appropriate data is also really very important to fight gender-based violence, and taking more action, providing opportunities for women to meet other women, need to know the access to the resources, taking help of the resources which are available in the community. I think that is really very important to tackle gender-based violence, and providing financial stability is also really very important, pulling women out of poverty. So these are some of the actions I think the governments need to take at all levels to make sure that our women are well educated, they are aware of their rights, and in case of abusive relationships, they need to know where to turn for help.
You're right. To sum it up, I need to just speak a few lines out of my poem, which was based on domestic violence, and it's something like this. I'll read a few lines out of that long poem. कि तुम्हारे ज़मीर ने तुमको एक प्याम भेजा है कि हाँ वो पहला वार था, पर तुम क्यों समझी कि आखिरी बार था। वो तवील सिलसिले बदसलूकी के जब्र गुरूर जिसमें उसका हथियार था। सब्र का हासिल हमेशा जन्नत तो नहीं, मगर ये समझना तुमको दुश्वार था। वही रिश्ता जो काबे का इबादत से है, वो नाता जो निकाह का सदाकत से है, वो गांठ जो इश्क की आदत से है। तोड़िए तो इतना एहतराम रखिए कि टकराए फिर से नजर तो नजर ना झुक जाए। अब न गुजरेंगी हम पे रातें जिल्लत की, क्योंकि हमने करवट ले ली है। और अब इस तरफ हमको तारे कुछ दिखाते हैं, कहते हैं तेरी राहों में आज हम बिछाते हैं नर्म फूलों की चादर और हंसी ख्वाबों की ताबीरें, जिनकी असलियत तुझे शायद इस नए शहर में मिल जाए और इनकलाब आ जाए। आ पहला कदम रख दे, आ पहला कदम रख दे। So I implore all women to take one step out of that house where you're feeling extreme subjugation, violence, and that is pulling you down in every possible way. Thank you so much, Honorable Member of Parliament Salma Zahid. Thank you so much for Shaheen Khan Naqshbandi. Thank you so much for joining us, giving us your precious time. Shaheen, आपके शहर में रात के 12 बज चुके हैं। कनाडा में इस वक्त दोपहर के 2 बज रहे हैं। आप दोनों दो अलग मुख्तसर और दोनों अलग मुख्तलिफ दुनियाओं से जुड़े हैं एक ही बात करने, एक ही प्लेटफॉर्म पर। आपका बहुत शुक्रिया।
Atika, आपका बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया. Thanks to Artists and Artisan Development and Network for providing this opportunity to share our perspective. And thank you for doing this series of Breaking the Silence. I think the need is there. And in case of this pandemic, there's even a greater need to make sure that we fight gender-based violence and make sure that every woman knows that, yes, we can do that in case of abusive relationships. We can get over it, and there is help for us. So thank you for doing your part in the fight against gender-based violence.
Thank you. Have a great day. Have a great term.
Thank you for giving us this platform. बहुत शुक्रिया.
My pleasure. My pleasure, my pleasure. And in the end, we must thank a few people, very, very important. The board of directors at Artists and Artisans Development and Network. PR partner for this event is Risha Productions. Artists and Artisans partner agencies are Positive Community Development, Creative Joys, Shacklet Films, IDRF, Ryerson University, Trios College, U of T, Diversity Cultural Association, Swar Gunjan Music Academy, and many others. I would like to take this opportunity to thank all the ladies, our speakers, artist Gloria, our team, Shireen Mandani, Gloria Gifnan Kunda, Manal Hussain, Brian Kazala, who's actually putting this all together for you. He's the technical brain behind this entire thing. Bless you, Regulars, and Mary Carmen Lee. Once again, we acknowledge Red Cross Canada and Artists and Artisan Development Network for shedding light on violence against women. I encourage all you people to please follow us on our social media on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter. Contact us via our email, which is info@artistandartisans.ca. Tomorrow is going to be yet another stimulating and very inspiring conversation. The speakers would be Dr. Nadine Waithen, Isabel McLean, and the performance will be by Rosemary Jenga. And hosts for the event are Dilshad Burman and Hanein Nana. I leave you with Gloria Gibbs' performance. Thank you so much for watching and see you tomorrow at the same time. Thank you.
So this last song is called Mlanjeni. Arts and Artisans Development and Network is known for working with diverse communities. This song is in Zulu, and Mlanjeni means I will meet you at the river. What am I saying? I'm singing this song because so many people, we've lost some people to domestic violence and elderly abuse. We've literally lost a few people. So I am sharing this moment with the families of those that have lost their loved ones within this pandemic as well. And I'm standing with you and everybody else. And not just about the pandemic, everything that has been happening around the world. There's been a lot of bloodshed. And with this song, I'm saying, I hope that whoever has departed, we shall get to meet them at the river indeed. Mlanjeni, it is a cover by the band Mafikizolo from South Africa. Thank you. I will meet you at the river, my love. Thank you. Thank you so much to my partner in crime, Neil Gardner, for joining me upon this, and of course my videographers, everybody included in this production. I want to say thank you so much to the Arts and Artisans Development and Network, and of course the Red Cross Canada, not forgetting Geisha Productions for all the PR work done. It has been a pleasure, and until tomorrow for the last workshop, My name is Gloria Gift Nankunda, and thank you so much for watching. Cheers.